FCC, deregulation, and ham radio. Got that coming up next. Bill from Ham Radio Basics here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Ham Radio Basics Live. We spent some time discussing the FCC, deregulation, and ham radio. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. What I want to do is go over what they're referring to with this FCC deregulation, because I think a lot of people aren't really up on it. So the FCC deregulation efforts proposed during the Trump administration primarily focused on commercial telecommunications, broadband expansion, and reducing regulatory burdens on businesses. However, there was no direct impact on amateur radio licensing, spectrum allocation, or operating privileges. That said, deregulation efforts could have indirect effects on amateur radio in areas such as 1. Tower and zoning regulation. Efforts to streamline regulations for broadband infrastructure like 5G might have influenced local zoning laws, potentially making it easier or harder for amateur radio operators to install antennas. 2. Spectrum reallocation. The FCC has been repurposing portions of this radio spectrum for commercial use, 5G and broadband. While no major amateur radio bands were taken during the period, there was ongoing concern about potential loss of secondary allocations. Mark that. We're going to come back to that here when I'm done reading. License fees. In 2020, under FCC rule changes, a $35 application fee was introduced for amateur radio licenses, new, renewal, and vanity call signs. This was part of a broader push for the FCC to recover administrative costs, which is fine. Okay, that's something I know a lot of hams out there were screaming bloody murder on this. But you know what? If you're in this hobby, you're going to have to break open that wallet and that piggy bank sometime. Okay, you have to spend money in order to keep this hobby going well. Okay, reduce FCC oversight. With deregulation, enforcement of rules such as interference complaints might receive less priority, potentially affecting the amateur radio community's ability to resolve issues with unlicensed operators or RF interference. Overall, amateur radio is not a major focus of deregulation. Changes in FCC policies and spectrum management could have long-term effects on the hobby. Okay, this was well done. ChatGPT did a great job on this. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about here, I want to spend a moment on, is the spectrum reallocation, all right? ARRL. People have really strong opinions about ARRL. But, and I will say this, it needs a lot of work, okay? I will say that. But at its basic core, it provides a lot of useful services, especially to new hams, okay? And those of us that have been around a while, it still is our best defense for, you'll have a spectrum defense fund out there. And this is what they do at, ARRL. Is they're out there. They're a watchdog regarding our bans. Okay. And, we don't want anything taken away. Obviously we'd love to get more, but we don't want anything taken away. And this is something that ARRL does. And I think it's one of the things that they do well. There's a lot of things they need to clean up. Okay. I'm not, putting a gold crown on their head, but that's something that they do. They're an advocate for us on that. If you can, chip in 10 or 15 bucks for that. Okay. It's going to help. It's going to make a difference. You want to have access to the bands. I became an extra because I wanted access to everything. All right. I don't want to see things taken away. So this is a good thing. This is some good information here. And I think this is something to take to heart, but, kind of bookmark this and keep this handy. Basically, everybody was kind of blowing this out of proportion, saying, they're going to take away licensing. They're going to, you won't have to pass an exam. It'll be like CB radio now. And it's not going to be doom and gloom. And you can see right here, there's some things. It's always good to be watchful of what's going on with this. And I think, again, I'll point back to ARRL. They are supposed to be our watchdog about this. So, engage with them, communicate with them. There's ways to communicate with them, express your concerns about things like this with them. It's good. And the more that you do that with them, that they will approach Congress and they will approach the FCC on our behalf. So, yeah, I say all that on my soapbox here. But no, this is good, and it's good news, basically. Nothing's really going to happen with amateur radio licensing here. They're not going to deregulate it, okay? Which, on the surface, everybody was like, oh, immediately I'm concerned. Well, yeah, I was too when I heard this. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure with this, study and pass your exams. And I think that's a great thing. And I think, you learn a great foundational skills when you go through these series of exams, especially through our friends at Ham Test Prep. I'm sorry. They do a fantastic job out there. So kudos to them. They do a good job, but this is good news for us. Question of the day. What did you think of the FCC deregulation in amateur radio? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everyone.